This episode of Lawyers Tell All is brought to you by the Intake Academy. Are you ready to convert more callers to qualified cases, rapidly qualify good cases, and transform unqualified prospects to advocates for your firm, whether you're able to handle their case or not? Visit www.intakeacademy.com and discover how to cement relationships with more of your ideal clients. Get them to commit to you and send you more referrals than you ever thought possible. Welcome to the Lawyers Tell All podcast, where Chris Mullins, the preeminent sales and communications consultant in the legal industry, shows you how it looks through lawyers' eyes. Here, innovators in the trenches provide powerful insights that help you connect with new clients, handle the sometimes harsh realities of the legal profession, and embrace the mindsets needed to succeed. Be sure to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, lean in, tune in, and let's take a deep dive.
Hello, everyone. It's Chris Mullins with Lawyers Tell All, and today I am going to interview Ben Glass, and I'm going to let Ben tell you about himself. Go ahead, Ben.
Hey, Chris. Happy New Year. So you and I have known each other for a long time.
A really long time.
Yeah. So I'm an attorney, actively practicing attorney in Fairfax, Virginia, crossed over 40 years. I think I'm about 42 years now. Been coaching lawyers through great legal marketing for 20 years. You know, I think I'm most well known for the fact that we have nine kids, have been married 43 years or so. And really, Chris, I think, I've built a law practice that really serves a lifestyle that me, my family want to have. I think that's what I'm kind of known for, is create the life you'd like in your head. Let's build a business that supports that. Let's then identify who the client is that walks through the door. And now finally, let's figure out how do we market to that person. And then when that all works, we figure out how to scale it and grow it. So having fun still after all these years, my friend.
Yeah. And so I'm sort of like, I can see you right now when I first met you at one of Dan's conferences, and you were standing up and you were asking questions, and like, what happened when you shifted, you turned the corner to make that firm everything that you just said? Like, what occurred?
Yeah, well, so I had a very typical sort of upbringing in the law. I went to undergrad, went to law school, and then worked for a firm for 12 or 13 years, and it was great. The guys I was working with let me try a lot of cases, so I got a ton of experience trying cases, which is what I was born to do, really. Left there to start my own firm when my family was growing. And, the real story is I was coaching 3 soccer teams and I needed to be closer to the fields, really. And I thought, Chris, like, how hard could it be to build a law firm? It was a lot harder than I thought it was. And so I struggled with that a bit for years, a solo practitioner with, very small staff. Discovered Dan Kennedy, which changed my life, which really, Dan showed me how to go out and attract clients in a different way, because I couldn't match the spenders. And back then, Chris, for your listeners, of course, we're talking about Yellow Page ads and TV.
I know, I was there.
Yeah, those are the two media. And today, of course, you have a bazillion different types of media. And so over the years, got good at attracting clients, then had to figure out the next thing. How do you hire? How do you develop a firm culture? How do you develop processes? That too took a long time, because I'm apparently a slow learner. But along the way, was encouraged by Dan Kennedy and others to show this to lawyers, because, lawyers, they're good lawyers. They went to law school. They learned how to be lawyers. Nobody ever taught us how to do business. I was one of the first sort of coaches running an organization for lawyers. Today, there are many, many fine coaches, many fine rooms to be in. I think every lawyer, especially in the solo and small firm market, should be in some room, someplace, playing with guys and gals who are doing things a little bit bigger, better, and faster than you are. And today, as we're recording this in early 2025, the world of AI is changing things again. Like I lived through, Chris, the revolution of personal computers coming to law, right? And online legal research. That's how old I am. And today we're learning, what are all the different ways that artificial intelligence can really free us up to do what we were born to do, which was to think creatively about our businesses, if you're a law firm owner, and to think creatively for your clients, like whatever their opportunity or challenge is, like, and let systems, computers, and other people do everything else that we all used to do who built practices from the ground up. We used to do everything.
Yeah. When did you stop practicing?
When did I stop?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't stopped.
Oh,
I
you
haven't
kidding
stopped.
me. You're like,
I've
oh,
elevated, yeah.
oh,
So,
man.
so we've got a personal injury practice here in Virginia, and I've got a long-term disability practice, which is sort of regional, if not East Coast United States, if not national, because we've got cases all over the country. But largely, Chris, what I get to do is coach the team. And when our cases get to the federal courts of appeals, I go and argue those cases. And so I get to do things that are really, really interesting. We doing some of the most interesting work in my 40 plus year career. And I coach up a really good team. We have a machine here in the long-term disability vertical. And my son, Brian, runs a machine in the personal injury vertical. And when I say a machine, some people go, well, but what about the clients? Our clients love us. Our team loves us. Like, we're really good lawyers with a really good business delivering a client experience that is unbeatable, and that's what we strive for. Like, it's really hard, Chris, for clients to figure out who's a good lawyer, who's a bad lawyer, right? It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
They know when they're having a great experience.
Oh,
And
yeah.
for most lawyers, it's a bad experience, unfortunately. It's a bad, like, customer experience. We're really good at that. We work at it all the time. We're not perfect, but our whole team is devoted to making sure that client's journey through the legal system, that they are, not that they are happy, right? They're not disappointed that they chose Ben Glass Law as their law firm.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just jump ahead for a minute. Can AI do that?
Yes and no. So here's what AI cannot do, in my opinion. Again, the early 2025, we're having this discussion. AI cannot tell the difference between quality, what's good and what's bad. AI can never tell you. So we have all these software out here, Chris. Oh, AI will look at all your medical records and digest them for you. BS. All it can do is regurgitate back what's in the records. It can't tell what's important. And today, that's what lawyers do. So what AI can do is AI can help me speed along the processes of things that are not my highest level of thinking, the quality, the strategy of a case. I sit down as I prepare for oral argument in the federal courts around the country, the briefs, and my iPhone, and I'm talking to AI. Here's something in the brief. Here's something I think is interesting. Here's something I think we want to emphasize. Oh, what's the sort of historical legislative history on this particular, ERISA regulation? That speeds everything along. And then I ask it to, like, print me one-pagers. Give me a one-pager, Chris, with the cast of characters, all the doctors in the case. Give me the 3 arguments that the defense most talked about in their brief. And that just allows Ben to free up his time to think about the strategy of how I'm going to argue the case. So AI can do a ton, and we're learning new stuff every single day. AI can help you write job ads, and AI can, help you think about marketing and do marketing. And lawyers who are running away from AI they're making a huge mistake.
Okay, so you know what I do? Intake, right?
Yes.
Well, can AI do intake?
I've seen and I have tested some really cool voice AI. It's really cool. In fact, the other day, Chris, my phone rang, and I don't usually pick it up if I don't see the number, but I picked it up, and it was an AI outbound sales rep for something they wanted to sell me.
Oh,
and so
wow.
I played with it for a while. If you have nothing else, if you don't have a live person, if you don't have a great answering team, I'd use it rather than not. It beats a phone tree right now, right? It beats leave your message at the sound of the tone. Beats all of that right now. But we have, at the law firm, we have like the best human being ever. to do,
Right.
we call it sales, not just intake, but
Yeah.
sales. Someone who can reaffirm the good choice the potential client made to call us, to be brave enough to call us, can resell. You have called the right place. Ben and Brian and the team, they are awesome. Now let me see if this will be a good fit for you and a good fit for us. And using language almost like that. So I've seen some cool AI, and again, Chris, I think it beats an answering machine and it beats a phone tree. I really have, but it won't beat a human.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't think
Well-trained human. Yeah.
exactly. Um, so what what are some of the mistakes that you made that you would like to share with everyone so that they can potentially not make the same mistakes?
Yeah. So not getting coaching early enough, right? Being afraid that my stuff was such a crap show that I was too embarrassed to show like how dysfunctional the inside of the firm was to coaches or to other people in a mastermind group. So being too slow to that. I mean, I was an early adopter of coaching, but I think we could have done that faster. Particularly, Chris, when it came to things like the business side. Like I went into all the trial lawyer classes and learned a ton of that from really great trial lawyers. Um, but things like hiring before you really understand who or what you are looking for and why. So I made a lot of mistakes over the years in hiring and then onboarding. Like I just didn't know any of that. So I think today, great legal marketing, we do this, but again, there's a lot of great organizations where those of us who are building businesses and who
Mhm.
have never had to hire like your fifth person or your 25th person or your 30th person. You can be in a room with someone who's hired 60 or 100 or 200 and find out how do you all do that? Today,
Mhm.
we've got in the law firm, Chris, we've got about 20 under roof and 5 based out of the Philippines. And it's just, we have a great team and one, I think, based out of Florida. So we have a great team that loves coming to work on Monday morning. Um, but I would have been more vulnerable and more willing to share like my insecurities with a coach or a group earlier. That's what I would have changed. But I don't regret. I mean, I am what I am and I'm here where I am because of the choices I made.
It takes a lot to get there, though. But
It does.
so the virtual, tell me about that.
Awesome. Game changer. So let me tell you the biggest game changer for us is so there's the world of virtual assistants, right? People who can do repetitive work. So we have, and we love i5. We've gotten our best virtual assistants from a company called i5. There are many good companies out there right now. ProFinder is another one. Um, uh, we have people who spend 40 hours a week chasing medical records, something that not a lot of American-based in-office workers would want to do. So our friends in the Philippines make more money on our economy than they would on their own. They're very good. They work on our time zone. They work through our software systems, and it's win-win. You know
Yeah.
me, Chris. Like I'm a big on win-win collaboration.
Yeah.
Brian and I each have executive assistants through Athena. So I think it's athena.com. And so these people are, they're a level above and they're more expensive, but they are trained to help us run our lives, do all of our email, all of our scheduling, handle
Mhm.
stuff, home projects that need scheduling,
Yeah. Mhm.
podcast production. And the cool thing about the EAs that we have, executive assistants that we have, is that they have coaches in the Philippines and they're on teams in the Philippines. So, Chris, if I ask my EA, her name is Claire, to do something and she doesn't know how to do it, she's got a team of people that have probably done it. So
Yeah.
there's collaboration on her side, there's collaboration on our side. And the project I tasked her with the beginning of the year was, hey, what do you want to become a master of this year? Like, what else would you like to learn to do? So I'm big on win-win collaboration.
Mhm.
Um, it can be scary, kind of quote, scary at first. And when I first heard of the idea of someone else is doing all of your travel and having access to credit card information, stuff like that, well, there's all sorts of technology that makes that very safe. So
Mhm.
dealing with reputable companies that will help
Yeah.
you, be the intermediary between me and someone who's out of country, that's important. Um, and it's just and learning. I would say this, Chris, like learning to be a good delegator. So my new skill in 2024 was getting better at delegating and letting go of the vine and trusting and working with mistakes and accepting that there's going to be mistakes, not going to be perfect the first time, and learning how to use new software like Notion and Asana and Loom and
Yeah.
becoming totally dependent on these software. Like for me, that's fun because I learned a whole bunch of new things in 2024.
Yeah. And it sounds like Claire takes care of you. So, but with the virtual, and then you're talking about the Philippines, what about the accents? How much time do you put into being careful of the folks that you hire and how they speak?
It's easy to tell with video, right? With
Yeah.
Zoom. So Claire's English is perfect. She actually, in one of her prior jobs, was she was a
Mhm.
case manager for a major a law firm in the Northeast, handling
Mhm.
as an advertising firm, handled a lot of injury and disability cases, stuff like that. So she has that experience. For the guys and gals who are doing calling doctors' offices, it's good enough. It's
Yeah.
it's actually it's better than good enough. And the odd thing is, or the weird thing, Chris, is my Philippines-based person might be on the phone with somebody else's Philippines-based person,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
in the next town. Um,
Yeah.
and so the accent is not a problem. Now, again, higher up the food chain you go. So if you're using someone and he or she is your intake person, so that's one area that we tried and we were not successful with, like out outsourced to the Philippines intake and sales was not as good for us as in person, in part because we like to have the ability. Oh, you can run down the hall.
Yeah,
You can run
right.
down the hall and find a lawyer to get on the phone with this person. Or,
Right.
Chris, the conversations that you hear in an office environment, you learn from that. So you lose that a little bit with hiring an out of office,
Yeah.
out of office, out of country intake and salesperson. But
Mhm.
I know people who do it. I think people do it very well. So
Yeah. And so what's next for you?
that's a question my coach asks. My wife asks, my
Yeah.
son, my law partner asks. So I'll be 67 next month. I had triple bypass surgery almost a year ago in March. I am fitter than I was ever. I had zero symptoms, which is scary. So anybody who's listening to this, like get the screening, get the testing. I had zero symptoms. I was doing heavy exercise with no
Yeah.
symptoms
Big
and I had
honor.
major blockages. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a
Oh,
coronary artery calcium score is the test you want to go get. Um,
yeah.
no, no vision of retiring. So I like what I do. I like the people I work with a lot. It's just that every day, Chris, I elevate myself a little more. So my mantra to myself for 2025 is think more, do less, delegate more, and learn to be a better delegator and build out my delegation team. And what's really cool, Chris, is again, that sounds scary. You start to hear like, really, like you release all of this personal stuff to somebody who's not
Yeah.
you. Yeah, we do. And I learned from about it from another mastermind member who said, "Yeah, and here's how you do it." So we tested it. And then you get addicted because what it does, Chris, is it frees me up to do the things that I like doing, which is talking to people like you, strategizing, thinking, how could our little firm here in Northern Virginia keep up with the 800-pound gorilla that's in our marketplace, right? How can we be better and more efficient at acquiring cases in our area? That's what I like to do. And I love it that I have a team. I can go, here's my idea. Here's a Loom video with my idea. Here's what I think the end result looks like. Now you go, Chris, and you figure out the steps. I don't need to tell you the steps. You're
Right.
going to probably get better idea than I have. And that's how we operate. So it's busy. My Q1 travel is pretty busy between law firm, great legal marketing, some other non-lawyer conferences I'm going to, and some vacations. Got 9 grandkids, 2 more coming in May and June. So uh,
Yeah. That's
Dan
awesome.
Kennedy, Dan Kennedy said, because he and I wrote No BS Time Management for Entrepreneurs last year, and we published that, the 4th edition. He said, Ben Glass is the busiest guy I know. I think that's true, but Ben Glass is a really happy guy. Like generally, Chris, Like the things I do are things that I like doing. I don't do a lot of things that I quote have to do and then I hate doing. I've
Mhm.
gotten good at saying no, and I've gotten good at saying, "Hey, Chris, is this something that you would like to do?" Like,
Yeah.
maybe, and then you can say yes or no.
hmm Did so when in your career did you start to feel like uh you needed more, you wanted more, and so you went ahead and got more? Like what did that look like?
I think that happens every single day. I think, you know, there's those of us who are entrepreneurs who want to build business, who, we're functionally unemployable. Like you're not employable, I'm not employable. We couldn't work for somebody else. And that's just the way we were born. That's our DNA. And I was talking to my wife about this today because we came back from our 2-day offsite law firm retreat.
What's your wife's name?
Sandy. And I said, at this retreat, we put a really, really big number up for 10 years out. And she's like, well, why? Why this pursuit for more? And I said to her, well, Brian and I, we're playing the game of business. We like playing the game. Like we have enough money. We've been blessed. We've done a good job. Like it's not about money, but it is this instinctual urge. Just like when you go to the gym, you could lift the same weight and pedal the same number of minutes every single day that you did yesterday. But that's not the way we're built. We're built to try to go and tackle something. That's just the way it is. And we're unapologetic about that. And it's fun. And so I cannot imagine like just cold turkey stopping this. I will always be trying to build something. My pastor said something the other day at church, and I'm like, that's a really good idea. Like, I'd like to get on that
Oh
project.
no, what do you
Yeah.
say?
It was about like, how do we grow the church? And she said, well, we have this plan to really take what we know. Cause we're in, I'm Lutheran church, ELCA, fastest growing, most vibrant church in America. Our congregation is objectively like standard measures, right?
Mm.
But we don't have any more space to grow. And we're not really going to go plant another church, but we can take what we know and teach other churches how to do it.
Oh
I'm like,
no.
I'm like, oh, like I would love, like, if I ever did stop doing the law stuff, like that would be kind of cool. Cause because again, we've learned a lot and we have the right combination of people that can inspire another pastor someplace in a church that's not doing as thriving as ours is. So when I hear now that's my blessing and my curse, Chris, because I'm like, okay, let's add that to the bucket, but not right now. I mean, I'm having way too much fun. Again, mainly coaching the team at Benglass Law, coaching the team at Great Legal Marketing. I just got off right before we started this, got off a group call with our tribe members. We get together every single month. It's in this month. We were talking about all of it. We're talking about being the CEO of your law firm and delegating and what happens if if you're a solo, how do you start to learn this? And that kind of conversation energizes me because we're changing lives. We know that for 20 years, we've changed lives. Lawyers who've come to us. And not everyone, but everyone hears the same story, Chris. And then they go look in the mirror and decide, do they want to do the work, and push themselves into areas where, it's just new learning. And that's what Ben likes to do. Brian likes to do. And most of the lawyers, guys and gals I hang out with, like they're into continuous self-improvement. Because at the end of the day, really this is about yourself, right? How have you changed as a person? So if Chris Mullins, like look back on your last 20 years that we've known each other or so, like you could probably chart how you personally have changed, right? Otherwise, like the work you do, the work I do is hard by a lot of standards, right? But if you and I grow and we continually seek out groups and mentors and books and studies and we do that stuff, that just makes it a game.
Yeah.
And you're blessed to be able to play the game of life and the game of business. And then when you do that, then you can share, right? And so I help I help a lot of people who maybe couldn't afford our services. But you can do that when you've built something successfully.
Tell me about Brian.
Brian's the oldest of 9.
Yeah.
He brought so if I'm the visionary, he's the integrator, to use EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System language.
Mhm.
Brian, so I'm not a numbers guy. I'm the million ideas by 8 a.m. Most of them bad, but I got them. And Brian is the ruthless integrator that keeps the trains running. It keeps the systems running. So in terms of technology and advances in technology in the law firm, in terms of hiring the right people and holding them accountable, like that's his gift. He's a lot better at that than I am. Very hard worker, good trial lawyer, great dad to 3 young boys. There's nothing better in life than being a grandparent and just having to show up at the games, So we're going, soccer games and baseball games, and now it's winter
Yeah,
games,
right,
basketball.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really fun. It's really fun to work with. And, importantly for any, family businesses out there and generational businesses, is that we're able to talk to each other and to have open and honest conversation and to debate, and to then be aligned on the decision that we reach or our leadership team reaches. So I think that's another thing we've done really well is we're students of EOS. We've invested a ton of money in coaching and corporate coaching for ourselves, in individual mindset coaching with our friend Sammy Chung. So we spend a ton every year on coaching and on learning things outside of legal. And again, that's the game that we like to play. And for us, at least, it has served us well.
That's a book, right? Waiting to be written, A Million Ideas by 8 a.m.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. So
don't give me.
I was wondering, are you writing it down? Are you writing it down?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got to ask you about intake. And when I say intake, I believe, intake, sales, intake. I mean, sales.
Yes.
But everybody still says intake. So that's okay. Why still today are law firms still behind with intake? Why is that still a thing?
It's interesting because whether you're a small firm, again, we're about 20 under roof, but there's a lot of firms that are smaller, or I go to some of these conferences, Chris, and these companies that are doing, hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Mm-hmm. The number one thing everybody talks about is intake and sales, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're spending money to drive the call. Mm-hmm. And why are lawyers bad at, lawyers are bad at business anyway. Mm-hmm. A lot of lawyers have sort of an attitude of, I'm a lawyer, and so I shouldn't have to get good at this. And they've never sat down to calculate, what does it cost to make that phone ring? Mm-hmm. What does it cost to not get on the phone and to lose that lead, right? To not follow up, to not persuade to hire me. And I think, Chris, because most lawyers in America, no matter how many conferences you go to and speak at, I go to and speak at, we're still only touching a small percentage of lawyers in America because most lawyers are not at these conferences, right? Yeah. And so they're at the standard bar association thing where they're learning how to be a better lawyer. Yes, you should be a better lawyer too, but they're not even exposed to this. Like, as popular as you are, as famous as you are, 99% of lawyers in America have never heard of Chris Mullins. They've never heard of Ben Glass, right? Yeah. They just haven't been exposed to it. And so that's shame on the profession for not emphasizing how much better the world would be if you had a team who's helping the client, the potential client, find the best lawyer. And if your team doesn't believe that you are the right ones for a particular avatar client, then they need to go. And so I think that lawyers are just, by and large, they're ignorant. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They just have never been exposed to what you and I talk about all the time, whenever we talk.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so how can you help folks? What suggestions do you have as far as your own resources, great legal marketing, masterminds, all of that stuff? I just want to make sure that you provide.
I appreciate you asking that. So they can go watch what the law firm is doing at benglasslaw.com. You can go see what Great Legal Marketing is all about at greatlegalmarketing.com. I came up with that name over 20 years ago when what we were talking about was building better Yellow Page ads. We're a lot bigger, broader organization than just marketing. And we had a conference out in Arizona a few months ago. We've got 100 pages of notes, of the notes and the slides for the conference. They're available absolutely free at GLM Summit Notes. That's glmsummitnotes.com. Go there, put your email address in. You'll get the PDF. It's like 99 pages, right? And that was great because we had a lot of the great speakers from around the country. And of course, I've written a number of books. Renegade Lawyer Marketing is in its second edition, and that's out. And people can, if you'd ever like to just get on a call, you can come. Well, here's my superpower is. Chris, if you tell me where your business is and where you think you might like to go, I'm really good at helping you decide where do I spend my next hour or my next dollar, right? Because I don't sell websites, pay-per-click. I don't sell anything. Like I'm here to coach you and to help lawyers across the country restore like happiness to their own lives and not be like fed up that they chose to be a lawyer. When most families are fed up that you chose to be a lawyer, they just really are. We're changing that culture. And I appreciate you asking that question and having me on. It's always fun to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are those books there on your shelf? I see Renegade Lawyer Marketing.
Renegade Lawyer Marketing. We've got our Hero and Icon playbooks. I've got, all the way back many years ago, 101 Best Marketing Ideas. I published a ton. I've published a lot. We've got a bunch of book ideas for this year, continually writing books for the practice. So just finishing up the manuscript for a book that's really a lead generation book for doctors and other high-income individuals who are thinking about going out on long-term disability. I mean, that's my space. I get to talk to doctors all over the country every single week who are thinking about tapping into their long-term disability insurance policy. We do consult and coaching calls all over the country. That's a whole different story, a whole different podcast, but we've really developed some cool marketing there, Chris, that is where no other lawyers are. Really tapping into the financial advisor world for doctors and becoming the guy that doctors call when they're got something, usually a degenerative condition of some sort that prevents them from doing the work that they were born to do. And so for example, I'm speaking at the American College of Endodontists National Conference in April.
Wow.
And those are the root canal doctors.
Yeah, I know, but that sounds like fun.
Semi-famous in that space now. Yeah, it's a fun place to be.
That's really fun. Okay. Give the names of the virtual assistant companies again. That was Athena.
Athena, ATHENA.com. Go there. And then there's a number of them. There's ProFinders. There's I5, initial IFIVE.com. There's several now that are serving the legal market. And again, I don't think you want to go out and find for yourself an out-of-country worker because then you're dealing with regulations and taxes and all sorts of stuff. So these intermediary companies just smooth that process. They go out and hire and vet and give you candidates. And if one doesn't work, you just get the next one.
Yeah, they take care of all the legalities. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and the technology is wonderful. And these folks, they work on our time zone. So they're working at their nighttime for us.
Yeah. Well, any last words for everybody?
This 2025, I think, is the year of AI for lawyers. And if you haven't been to a conference where someone who knows what they are talking about isn't, showing you the possibilities, then I think you're making a big mistake. A lot of lawyers are running away from AI because they hear these horror stories about lawyers who use it for briefing. I mean, using AI for briefing is one use. There's 1,000 uses, and we're chasing those uses right now in every which way that we can.
Yeah, I have some of those that we're working on too, that there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, it's not going to do everything, but there's some things that can do really well that we're not doing very well.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Ben. Well, thank you so much for your time. All right.
Yes, Chris. All right. Good to chat with you.
All right. So long, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Lawyers Tell All. where Chris Mullins takes you on a journey with lawyers in the trenches who show you the realities of what it takes to succeed in this chaotic, crowded, ever-changing profession. Remember to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on Lawyers Tell All.